In April of 1994, 30 people were hospitalized in El Paso, Texas. 4 of them could not breathe on their own and were put on ventilators. It was the largest outbreak of botulism in the United States in 16 years. And it did not come from home canning, which is what everyone assumes when they hear that word. It came from baked potatoes, specifically potatoes that had been wrapped in aluminum foil, baked, and then left sitting at room temperature, still in the foil, before being used in a dip that was served cold. I'm Dr. Lee. After 15 years of practice, I've watched this exact picture play out more times than I can count. Someone who thought they were being careful, who cooked a simple baked potato the way their mother or grandmother did, ends up in the hospital or seriously ill. And this, everyone around them calls it bad luck or a stomach bug. It wasn't. It was a method used in kitchens all over this country every single week, including, I would guess, yours. When health inspectors went through that restaurant afterward, it met every state health code standard. Nothing was dirty. Nobody was careless. The potatoes did not look wrong, and they did not smell wrong, because the toxin involved has no smell and no taste at all. That is what makes this so dangerous. There is no warning sign you can see or smell. The method that caused it, potato, foil, oven, counter knife, is still used in homes and restaurants every week. Today, I am walking you through the 7 potato mistakes most closely tied to real harm. Counted down from the ones that quietly cost you over the past years to the one that put 4 people on ventilators. Watch for number 3. It is the one that undoes what almost everybody assumes about cooking, because there is a natural toxin in potatoes that boiling will not destroy, baking will not destroy, and frying will not destroy. Before we begin, tell me in the comments, do you wrap your potatoes in foil when you bake them? And do you keep your potatoes in the refrigerator? Those 2 answers tell me a great deal about how this risk sits in real kitchens. Read every one of them. Let's start at number 7. Number 7 is washing potatoes when you bring them home. It feels like the responsible thing to do. They come out of the ground, they have soil on them, and washing them means they are clean and ready when you need them. But a potato is still a living thing that is trying to sprout, and moisture is the signal that it is waiting for. Washing before storage leaves dampness in the eyes and on the skin. Damp potatoes sprout faster and rot faster. In my practice, I've seen patients throw out bag after bag of potatoes that went bad early simply because they washed them in the day they bought them and then stored them wet. You are shortening their life and starting the clock on problems we will get to later. Store them dirty. Wash them right before you cook them. That is the entire fix, and it is one of the rare pieces of advice that saves you both work and money. Where they go matters too. Cool, dark, and dry ride. A paper bag, a basket, an open box in a cupboard. Not sealed plastic, because plastic traps moisture and speeds up exactly what you are trying to prevent. Store them dirty, dark, and dry. Wash at the last minute. Number 6 is one that a great many households get exactly backwards, and it is genuinely counterintuitive. Number 6 is storing potatoes in the refrigerator. This one surprises people every time. We put things to keep them safe. For potatoes, it works against you. At refrigerator temperatures, a potato converts some of its starch into sugar. That is why a cold-stored potato tastes faintly sweet and browns much too fast in a pan. The issue is what? Those extra sugars do under high heat. When potatoes are fried, roasted, or baked at high temperature, the sugars and a naturally occurring amino acid react and form a compound called acrylamide. More sugar in the potato going in means more acrylamide coming out. Food safety authorities specifically advise against refrigerating potatoes that you intend to fry or roast for exactly this reason. Acrylamide is a long-term concern rather than a tonight concern, hey. Nobody is going to the hospital over one batch of roast potatoes. But if potatoes are on your table several times a week for the next 20 years, it is worth getting right, and it costs nothing to get right. In my years of practice, I've watched patients who ate roasted or fried potatoes several times a week for decades without realizing they were stacking. A long-term exposure that did not need to be there. The fix is simple. A cool, dark cupboard, a pantry, an unheated room, a basement. You are aiming for cool, not cold. And when you do cook them, going a little lighter on the browning tam, golden rather than dark brown hair reduces it further. Cool cupboard, not cold refrigerator. Cook to golden, not dark. Number 5 is about which vegetable you put next to them, and it sounds like it could not possibly matter. Number 5 is keeping potatoes and onion in the same bin. Nearly every kitchen does this. They are both root cellar vegetables, they both live in the cupboard, and it seems obvious to keep them together. But onions give off gases and moisture as they sit, and potatoes are extremely responsive to both. Together, potatoes sprout faster and soften sooner, and the onions do not do well either. This is not a poisoning risk on its own. It is a spoilage accelerator, and everything else on this list gets worse the older and more sprouted a potato is. Which is the real reason it earns a place here. It is the small habit that speeds up the arrival of the actual dangers. Keep them in separate places, both cool and dark, with a little air movement. Bananas and apples do the same thing to potatoes. For the same reason, Pang, they release a ripening gas cream, so keep those off the potato shelf too. Onions and potatoes are roommates that do not get along. Separate them. Number 4 is the one your grandmother probably warned you about. And she was more right than she knew. Number 4 is eating a potato that has gone green. That green tint on the skin is chlorophyll, and chlorophyll itself is harmless grade. It is just the potato reacting to light exposure. But it is a signal flag. The same light exposure that produces the green also causes the potato to produce higher levels of natural compounds called glycoalkaloids, and the one most people have heard of is solanine. Solanine is the potato's own pest defense. It is concentrated in the skin, in the layer just underneath, and that's especially in the eyes and sprouts. In small amounts, it does nothing to a healthy adult. In larger amounts, it causes burning, and the mouth and throat, nausea, cramping, vomiting, and at higher exposures, headache, confusion, and neurological effects. There is a well-documented school outbreak in London in the late 1970s where dozens of boys were made seriously ill after eating potatoes from a batch that had been stored too long. This is not folklore. It has a literature. In my practice, I've had patients bring in potatoes they almost cooked because it was only a little green. 2 practical points. First, taste is an actual warning here. Solanine is bitter, and a potato dish that tastes unexpectedly bitter or burns slightly should be stopped, not finished. Second, and this is where people go wrong, a light green tinge on a firm potato can be dealt with by peeling generously and cutting well past the green and well below any sprout. But a potato that is extensively green, deeply sprouted, shriveled, or bitter goes in the bin. It is not worth $1. Green means light got to it. Cut deep or throw it out. And if it tastes bitter, stop eating. If this is useful, tap the like button. It genuinely helps this reach more people. And tell me down there whether you keep your potatoes in a dark cupboard or out on the counter. I read those answers. Now, number 3, this is the one I told you to watch for. Number 3 is assuming that cooking a potato solves the problem. This is the belief that sits under everything we do in a kitchen. Heat kills what is dangerous. It is why we cook meat through, why we boil questionable water, why many of us reheat everything twice. And for bacteria, it is correct. Solanine is not a bacterium. It is a chemical compound on the plant. It's on purpose, and it is remarkably heat stable. Boiling does not destroy it in any meaningful amount. Baking does not. Frying does not. Frying temperatures are higher, but not high enough to reliably break it down, and by then you have cooked the rest of your potato to ruin. So the green potato you boiled is still a green potato. The bitter one you fried is still bitter, and they're still carrying what made it bitter. This is exactly parallel to something I have covered before. Heat is the answer to what is alive, and it is no answer at all to what is chemical. 2 completely different categories of danger, and nearly everybody applies the same tool to both. In my practice, I've watched patients learn this the hard way after they cook the problem out. You cannot cook it out. You can only not eat it. The only control for solanine is on the front end. Buy firm potatoes with no green. Store them dark. Use them before they sprout. Peel and cut generously if there is any greening at all. and throw away the far gone ones. Number 2 is about the dish that appears at every family gathering in America. Number 2 is leaving cooked. Potato dishes sitting out. Potato salad. Mashed potatoes in a bowl on the counter. A tray of roasted potatoes at a holiday buffet, sitting there through an afternoon of conversation. Cooked potatoes are what food safety professionals classify as a time and temperature controlled food, meaning that once cooked, they need to be kept genuinely hot or genuinely cold and not left in between. 2 hours at room temperature is the outside limit, and 1 hour if the room is warm or you are outdoors in summer. And I want to correct something people believe about potato salad specifically. Most of us assume the mayonnaise is the risky part. Commercial mayonnaise is acidic and pasteurized, and it is generally not the issue. It is the potatoes and the eggs, low acid, moist, cooked, and sitting at exactly the wrong temperature grow what makes people sick. This matters more after 60 than it did at 30. Stomach acid is one of the body's own defenses against swallowed bacteria, and it commonly decreases with age and with several very common medications. The same serving that gave your grandson an upset evening can put you in an urgent care waiting room. In my practice, I've seen this exact pattern more times than I like to remember. Hot dishes stay above 140 degrees in a slow cooker or a warming dish. Cold dishes sit in a bowl nested in ice. Leftovers go into the refrigerator in shallow containers within 2 hours and get eaten within 3 or 4 days. Hot stays hot, cold stays cold. 2 hours is the whole rule. And now number 1, which is the foil. Number 1 is the baked potato left in its aluminum foil. Here is the mechanism, and it is elegant in the worst way. The bacterium that causes botulism lives in soil. Potatoes grow in soil, so the spores arrive in your kitchen on the skin, and there is no realistic way to buy potatoes that have never met them. That part is completely normal and completely fine. Those spores survive baking. Like the ones I have talked about in rice, they are armored, and oven temperatures on the inside of a potato do not reliably destroy them. Now add the foil. Botulism spores need an environment without oxygen to wake up and start producing toxin. A potato tightly wrapped in aluminum foil, cooked and left to cool, is very nearly a purpose-built low-oxygen container. The foil is not incidental to this story, the foil is the reason. Then add time at room temperature. The potato cools out of the safe range and sits there, the spores germinate. And they begin producing one of the most potent toxins known. That is exactly what happened in El Paso. Foil-wrapped baked potatoes held at room temperature, later mixed cold into a dip and never reheated. 30 people. 4 ventilators. A restaurant that passed inspection. And I want to be very clear about the part that makes this different from every other. This item on this list. Botulinum toxin cannot be seen, cannot be smelled, and cannot be tasted. There is no bad batch to notice. That dip tasted fine to every person who ate it. In my 15 years of practice, I've never seen a more preventable disaster that looks so completely ordinary. Here is the fix, and it is genuinely simple. Eat baked potatoes within 2 hours of coming out of the oven, or hold them hot above 140 degrees if they are sitting out for a gathering, or refrigerate them within 2 hours. Those are the 3 safe endings, and there is no fourth. And the one specific thing to change tonight, take the foil off before it goes in the refrigerator. Cold storage in foil is far less risky than counter storage in foil. But there is no reason to keep the low oxygen wrapper on a potato you are saving. Unwrap it, put it in a shallow container, refrigerate it. Better yet, do what a lot of careful cooks now do and skip the foil entirely. Bake the potato directly on the oven rack. The skin comes out better anyway, crisp instead of steamed high, and the entire problem never exists. Here is the whole video in 5 clear lines. Store them dirty, dark, and dry. Not in the refrigerator, not next to the onions. Green or heavily sprouted means cut deep or throw it out, and bitter means stop eating. You cannot cook out what is chemical, only what is alive. Cooked potatoes are hot or cold, never in between, and never more than 2 hours out. And the baked potato comes out of the foil. Eat it, hold it hot, or refrigerate it unwrapped within 2 hours. None of this is a reason to eat fewer potatoes. Potatoes are cheap, filling, and genuinely good food, and they have kept more people alive through more hard winters than almost anything else on Earth. They simply do not like light, and they do not like sitting on a counter. In foil, I'm Dr. L. Every source I used is linked below so you can read it yourself. Tell me in the comments, do you wrap yours in foil? Did you know about the refrigerator? I read every single one, and your answers decide what I buy. Make next. Next time, rice. There is a toxin that can form in cooked rice that survives temperatures far above boiling for 90 minutes, survives your microwave, and survives stomach acid. Reheating does nothing to it at all, and it forms during the hours the pot sits. Cooking on your stove.